Hello everybody, this is the iFan channel here, and today I'm currently on the bus now, and I'm heading from Belgrade all the way to Skopje in Macedonia. So I'm gonna see you guys when I'm in Skopje. Basically, as you can see, we did miss some of Belgrade, including the Chijan Lija, which is basically a peninsula quite far from the center. We did miss Konak Kniginja Ubice, which is actually near the Macedon Park, the Topčica Park, which is a bit far, and also the Belgrade Arena, as well as, you guessed it, half of the Yugoslav Museum. But if I were to return to Belgrade, I might go to these places. It is now 5:15. I'm currently in the rest area now. Basically, I'm gonna have a 10-minute break at the rest area before I do have to go, but I do not think I regret buying the sandwich for 300 RSD. Basically, these rest areas will be quite expensive. The food, even if I get like quite good food, it'll be still quite expensive. So basically, I've made a correct choice. But as you can see, this is actually the grill house here. I'm now about 3 hours in my bus journey, and here it is, the beauty of Serbia. Basically, this is part of the Dinaric Alps here, and why not? I'm gonna see you guys when I arrive in Macedonia. Basically, after about 6 hours on the bus, I finally arrived in Macedonia. Basically, this is considered the Republic of North Macedonia, and before 2019, basically because of a dispute with Greece, therefore Macedonia is actually represented in the UN as the former Yugoslav Republic of Macedonia. Basically, even though Macedonia is the poorest of all Yugoslavian states, I do feel like Macedonia is slightly more advanced in some regards. Not only does it have a higher democracy rating, but it could feel like the bus station is slightly more advanced than the ones in Bosnia. Only slightly, but in reality, I did get like free Wi-Fi at the bus station, which is quite good. At least I could surf the internet whilst I don't have a SIM card yet. But I might buy a SIM card later. Basically, after about 30 minutes walking and trying to unlock the door, I finally arrived at my hotel. Basically, it does have a washer, not a dryer, however, but as you can see, there's actually a restroom as well as a shower here. And if you were to see, I don't know what this is, but basically you do have a living room and a kitchen. Basically, you could make food and stuff. As well as this, which is actually a refrigerator. And if you were to go here, you would actually see a bedroom. So it is much bigger than my apartment in Cambridge, obviously. But as you can see, this is actually a bedroom, but unfortunately the bed basically goes to the end. And basically it is quite comfortable. I'm actually going to stay here for 2 nights. And over here is actually the closet, so I could actually put my clothing. But unfortunately, I don't know where to hang my clothing, but basically that is it. I could actually go to sleep and maybe do the laundry tonight instead of having to pay. Good morning, guys. Basically, it is now noontime. I did have to do the laundry, unfortunately, so it does take some time, but in reality, Skopje does have something to do, just not so much. You can actually finish in about a day or two, but as you can see, this is where my clothing is hanged now. Essentially, so over there is actually the washer, and over here is actually the dryer. I actually did open a door to get some ventilation, but I'm not sure if I should turn on the AC or not, because basically if I turn on the AC, it would actually blow my clothing away. So yeah, basically drop some wind, but why not? I'm actually going to go eat lunch and of course go to the ATM as well as the carrier store. Basically, this is my temporary solution here. After leaving the hotel, I decided to eat at a restaurant near my hotel, which does accept card. I only paid around 220 dinars, so basically I believe maybe $4-ish, but I'm not really sure. And over here is what my meal looks like for 220 dinar. I actually bought water for 30 dinar, which is quite affordable. Basically about 50 cents or something. I'm not really sure because I don't have any Wi-Fi and I could not really convert MKD to USD. Basically, this whole meal here will be a bit less than $4 After eating lunch and before going to the center, I do have to buy a SIM card. So here is the SATEC Telecom, basically an equivalent of Best Buy, Circuit City or Media Markt or Saturn, at least in the US and in Western Europe. Basically, I'm actually going to go here to get a SIM card, of course, because I do need a SIM card in order to even use the internet and stuff. Now, since the tech store is to no avail, I'm actually going to try Techno Market over here. But basically, even that is to no avail. But over here is the A1 store, and that is actually one of Macedonia's mobile carriers, along with Hrvatska and Serbia, I believe so. Basically, the A1 store is of no avail, and over here is actually Xiaomi store. I actually did talk to them, and they say like the SIM cards are allocated for like a few units per month, basically a few thousand SIM cards per month. And because it is now sold out, unfortunately, I could not buy it from A1, so I'm actually going to walk to the telecom. And basically, Xiaomi, as you guys know, Xiaomi does not really sell any phones in the US and Canada, unlike Huawei. But Huawei really did get banned under the Trump administration 5 years ago, so that's kind of unfortunate. But in reality, I do believe Xiaomi is quite a good value for money, and Realme and stuff. But as you can see, there are a lot of electronic stores. But still another one. There's just a lot to offer in terms of electronics, even if there's no Apple store in this country. Now, I actually bought the SIM card through Telecom. It actually cost around $7 US, which is still better than buying my roaming plan, which does cost slightly less, maybe 75 cents less. But in reality, it only gives me 1 day of usage and a lot less data. And over here is actually Skopje Center. Basically, this is the center here, and over here is the stone bridge, which is actually 6 meters wide, but 214 meters long. So it's quite long, in fact. But in reality, this bridge was actually constructed between 1451 and 1469. And another fun fact, even though this is actually called the Stone Bridge, it is also referred to as the Dusan Bridge, named after the Emperor of Serbia, Stefan Dusan. Basically, this stone bridge is actually built by Sultan Mehmed the Conqueror. And I'm actually going to go here soon. But first, let me go to Mother Teresa Memorial, which is actually on the other side of the bridge, actually this side. But as you can see, this is actually the center of Skopje. This is Macedonia Square, and it absolutely looks striking here. It kind of looks like some sort of resort city, but in reality, Macedonia is one of the poorest countries in all of Europe. But over here it is, Macedonia Square here. Basically, the bridge, the stone bridge, is actually a major element in the city, and is actually included in the coat of arms as well as in the flag. Over there, as you can see, is actually the Vardar River where the bridge is at, and over here is actually the Macedonia Square, which is by far the biggest square in North Macedonia, being about 18,500 square meters big. Basically, during Macedonia's independence from Yugoslavia, the president of Macedonia at the time, Kiro Gligorov, actually did declare Macedonia's independence over at the Macedonia Square, and Christmas festivals are celebrated here every year. After a 3-minute walk, I finally arrived at Mother Teresa Memorial House, and it is actually built on the site of the Sacred Heart of Jesus Catholic Church. And over here is actually an Orthodox church, St. Constantine and Helena Orthodox Church here. So when I'm actually going to go here to see what it's all about. Now, despite the fact Mother Teresa was actually born in Skopje, Macedonia in 1910, she's actually of Albanian descent, but she's actually lived in India and have died in India like in 1997. So basically, because she's Albanian, and also Macedonia does have a significant Albanian population at around 25% of Macedonia's population. Not only is there English or Macedonian, there's also Albanian here. Unfortunately, I cannot make any noise if I come in here, but I do think there are tickets here. I'm not sure how much it costs. Basically, I'm currently in the Mother Teresa Memorial House at the top floor, and over here is actually the chapel. In here, basically this is where the chapel is, I believe so. As you can see, unfortunately you have to be quiet in the inside, so I might not be able to speak. But here's some fun facts. After she died in 1997 at a really old age, around 19 years after her death, basically exactly 19 years, she actually became a saint by Pope Francis. And why not, I'm actually going to go inside to show you guys the chapel, but I do have to not make noise. Basically at 17 she did her first visit Calcutta in India, where she basically lived until she died, basically helping a lot of Indian children and stuff. But the infographic show did expose her for like essentially not really helping much, because she does not really accept advanced technology and instead resorts to like essentially religious like medical examinations rather than really any scientific, and hence many children did sort of suffer. But in reality she was awarded a Nobel Peace Prize, and her last visit to Skopje in North Macedonia basically was only 11 years before death. But as you can see, the museum is actually free of charge, so I was able to get in for free, which is quite a good thing because it is quite small, but nonetheless it does include a lot of things. This is essentially a memorial house nonetheless. But I'm currently in the Skopje center. Basically I'm going through the stone bridge now to get over to the bazaar. And last up before I go, not only is there a souvenir shop, Teresa was also an honorary citizen of the US. Yes, many Americans actually live in the US but aren't even citizens yet, even if they lived in the US for decades on end. In fact, many visa holders are still like having visas rather than having a green card, let alone US citizenship. I'm now outside of the Teresa Memorial House, and over here is the Macedonian Square, but specifically this is actually a statue of Alexander the Great. Yes, Alexander the III, who basically conquered Egypt, the Middle East, as well as parts of Asia, essentially all the way into India and stuff, basically like revolutionizing ancient Greece. And he actually lived during the 4th century BCE. And basically he did die young at around 33 years old due to the fact he was actually assassinated and did suffer from several infectious diseases. But in reality he was actually the king of Macedon, which is essentially an ancient Greek kingdom. So why not, after taking a look at Alexander the Great, why not I'd actually cross the stone bridge into the old bazaar. And basically, if you can see, there is actually an Arc de Triomphe replica. It is actually called the Triumph Arch of Macedonia. It was actually erected in 2011 and was completed in 2012, basically 20 years after the Macedonian independence. But as you can see, this is actually 21 meters tall, basically to symbolize 20 years of Macedonian independence. The arch, however, is quite cheap at only around 4.4 million euros, which is basically more affordable than some of Cambridge's single houses. But in reality, it is still quite expensive nonetheless. But over here are two statues. Specifically, this is Goce Delchev, and basically this is Dame Gruev, basically both Bulgarian as well as Greek revolutionaries. And over here, if you can't see, this is actually a statue of Justinius. Essentially, this is King Justinian I of Byzantine, one of the most famous kings in the Byzantine Empire. Basically, there was actually a plague named after him, the Plague of Justinian. And basically, even though this is actually the famous stone bridge, over there is actually the Bridge of Civilizations in Macedonia. Another quite famous bridge, and over there is actually a pedestrian bridge of some sort. So why not, I'm actually going to cross to the old bazaar. But as you can see, the buildings here are quite fancy and it is quite hot. Basically more than 25 degrees Celsius, so it's really, really hot. But actually I'm trying to enjoy my day as much as I can. There are actually some drummers around here. I'm currently on a stone bridge now, and over there is actually the Millennium Cross. Unfortunately, it will be very far and there's no public transportation which could actually go to the Millennium Cross. So basically I cannot really go to the Millennium Cross, as it's actually a 2-hour walk minimum just to go there. But why not, I'm actually going to cross to the old bazaar. I'm now on the other side of the stone bridge, actually closer to the old bazaar, and over here is actually a fountain of Olympia, which is actually the mother of Alexander the Great. And over here is actually a statue of Philip II of Macedon, basically the father of Alexander the Great. So basically both are actually fountains, and as you can see, I could actually get cooled down quite quickly with some of these fountains. It's quite hot today. I'll show you guys what the weather is. I do believe about 25-ish degrees Celsius, so it is quite hot. Now, even though I'm actually going to go to the old bazaar as well as the Skopje Fortress soon, I'm actually going to stop by here, which is actually the Macedonian Museum for the struggle of independence. Basically, Macedonia did get independent from Yugoslavia during the early 90s. As you can see, I do believe this might be the museum here. Unfortunately, I could not record nor take pictures at the museum because I was told not to, so I had to delete the footage. And this museum, I do believe, is very much worth going. It is basically only around $5.50-ish cents, around 300 dinars, so it's not so expensive, but it does offer a lot of like attention to detail. Basically, it starts from like the 17th century and it essentially ends during socialism, basically during the mid 20th century and the Cold War. And it basically features a lot of wax figures and stuff, as well as essentially like replicas of many like buildings, as well as weapons and stuff. So basically you just see a detailed like view of like not only the people but also the environment. Basically, the museum started in 1689 with the Karboshes rebellion against the Ottoman Empire, and it also talks about Hajduk, which is actually an infantry found in Macedonia as well as in the rest of the Balkans between the 16th, 17th, 18th and even 19th century. And then it basically talks about the Macedonian rebellion of 1878 to 1879, as well as the founding of the VRMO, basically a Macedonian independence party. And in 1903, there was actually an Ilinden uprising, which actually, you guessed it, founds the Kosovo Republic. And in 1912 to 1913, just before World War I, there was actually the war in the Balkans, which actually separated the Balkans from the Ottoman Empire. Basically, by this time, the Ottoman Empire was already disintegrating. And afterwards, it went all the way into World War II, where the Macedonians actually strived to become independent, but instead Yugoslavia was actually founded. And even though Yugoslavia was actually meant to basically strengthen the Macedonian identity, it in fact repressed several Macedonian artists and political activists. So basically, why now I'm actually going to go to the old bazaar. Basically, I'm currently outside now. Over here is Philip II of Macedon, and why not I'm actually going to go to the old bazaar before going to the Skopje fortress. And over here it is, the old bazaar, basically the center of Skopje for trade and commerce since the 12th century AD, basically the past 900 years. Basically, it is nicknamed the Turkish bazaar, and it is actually situated on the eastern bank of the Vardar River, stretching from the stone bridge all the way to the Bit Bazaar, and from the Skopje fortress all the way to the Sarava River. Basically, even though it has been the main center of Skopje for trade and commerce since the 12th century, basically the Ottomans actually tried to solidify this as the center. Basically, it is still the trade center today, and you could actually find a lot of food around here. And it is actually known for Ottoman as well as Byzantine Empire. And it actually did survive several different events, such as a 1555 earthquake, the 1963 earthquake, and the burning of the city in 1689, basically with the Karposh rebellion, as well as the First and Second World Wars. And it does include a lot of mosques and stuff. So why not, I'm actually going to go around to show you guys what it is around here. Basically, you have seen a bazaar in the Mostar as well as Sarajevo videos, but as you can see, this is actually another bazaar, even though Macedonia is predominantly Christian Orthodox. And the Albanian ethnic group is the Muslim ethnic group. And not only that, there are actually a lot of Muslim Romans as well. Basically, there are a lot of restaurants and very delicious food. So why not, I'm actually going to stop here again at around 6:30 p.m. to actually get some food. Because I do think there's a lot of good food here. Especially given this is actually a bazaar. Basically, there's a lot of Turkish food, a lot of Ottoman food, Mediterranean food, and maybe, who knows, Macedonian food. Now, even though there's actually a Murad Pasha's mosque, I'm actually going to go to Mustafa Pasha's mosque, basically a much more well-known mosque. And over here is some more of the bazaar. Basically, you do have a lot of things to eat, even sandwich and stuff, pommes frites, which is fries. Basically, you do have a lot of things, and I can't wait to eat in this area for dinner. Basically, after a 3-minute walk in the old bazaar, I finally arrived at the Mustafa Pasha Mosque, which was actually an Ottoman Empire mosque built in 1492. So basically the same year the Jews were expelled from Spain. as well as the Muslims, and also the same year exploration actually started by Christopher Columbus. It is actually in the Islamic and late classical Ottoman style, and fun facts, it was actually built by a guy named Koban Mustafa Pasha, who later became vizier on the court of Sultan Selim I, and is actually on the plateau over here. So why not, I'm actually going to climb to the plateau and see you guys there. I finally entered the Mustafa Pasha Mosque, and here's the dress code here. I'm not sure if I'm required to wear a scarf or not, but basically I'm just going to enter. Okay guys, I just entered the mosque, and as you can see, it is quite nice looking inside. It is one of the biggest mosques in all of Macedonia, and basically this mosque was actually renovated in 2011, so only 13 years ago, so it's quite new still. But as you can see, this is what the mosque looks like. I'm not sure if you could actually go up the minarets, but I actually did enter for free nonetheless. Basically, after my free tour at the Mustafa Pasha Mosque, why not, I'm actually going to go to the Murat Pasha Mosque down there to see what it's all about. I don't know what it is around there, but it is actually a chant of some sort. But over here is actually the Murat Pasha Mosque. I'm not sure if I'm allowed to record or not. But over here there is no English translation. There is actually Turkish, Albanian, as well as Macedonian. Unfortunately, I could not record in the Murat Pasha Mosque, and as you can see, those chants, actually one of them come from this mosque, but the other actually came from this mosque as I went in, and I could actually tell. I'm now currently in the Church of the Ascension of Jesus. It actually closes in about 50 minutes, so I'm just going to go quite fast then. Unfortunately, the church would actually close in about 10 minutes, and also I don't have any cash, so I couldn't really get in. But why not, I'm actually going to go over here, which is actually to the Skopje Fortress, one of the most famous attractions in all of Skopje. Now here are some fun facts about the Skopje Fortress. The Skopje Fortress was actually built during the 6th century AD during the rule of Emperor Justinian I, and hence you do see the Emperor Justinian statue. And the materials for this fortress actually came from the Roman city of Skopje, basically, which was actually destroyed in 518 by an earthquake. But as you can see, before this fortress was actually built, this used to be the land of people during the Neolithic and the Bronze Ages, basically like 6,000–7,000 years ago. Really, really long time ago, in fact. But as you can see, basically this is the Skopje Fortress over here, and it is actually featured in the coat of arms as well as the flag of Skopje, just like the stone bridge. And due to the fact that the Turkish word for fortress is actually Kel, this is actually commonly referred to as Kel. After landing at the unofficial entrance and several minutes after finding the official entrance, here is the official entrance over here, and it does not allow you guys to cross. I do believe there's some like poison or even like landmines in here, so be careful before you get killed by landmines. And as you can see, here are the flags of North Macedonia. There are basically 3 of them here. So why not, I'm actually going to look for some viewpoints. And over here you can actually see something reminiscent of a Soviet or Yugoslav town here, basically with a ton of housing projects and stuff. And basically it does not allow you guys to cross. Once again, there could be some secret stuff pertaining to the government or something. I really don't know what is in there, but I'm not gonna cross. But over here you can actually see the view here, which is quite stunning, and you can actually see the mountains. Unfortunately, when I'm up here, I am blocked from looking at the city, as you can see, with these type of walls and stuff. Unfortunately, I cannot show you guys, but whatever. Basically, I could reach up, but I couldn't really see the city unless if I could walk tiptoe. But as you can see, these are some of the like essentially the guards and stuff. And basically, if you were to walk there, you could actually see even more of the fortress. If you were to walk several more meters, you would actually see more of a viewing point over here. Basically, you could actually see Skopje from all the way here, which is quite stunning and quite unique in fact. But as you can see, I'm currently descending the steps here. Basically, here's a view of Skopje in Macedonia. And now after several minutes of walking, I finally got to the east side, and over here is actually the viewing point. If I were to go up these really steep steps, basically you had to be careful and actually hold the railings before I actually fall to my death. But over here it is. Basically you would actually see the Mustafa Pasha Mosque, as well as several different themes, as well as even the Murad Pasha Mosque. You can see the old bazaar down there, and why not? I'm actually going to get to the viewing point where the views will be quite stunning. Basically, here it is, Skopje, NLB Bank, basically where I'll get my money so I can pay the hotel, essentially. And here's some more. Basically, over there's the telecom where I bought my phone, SIM card, and why not? I'm actually going to get down. It's quite exhausting. Basically, after a while at the Skopje fortress, why not? I'm actually going to return to the bazaar and actually eat some dinner. Basically, I've not ate since like noontime, and I did walk a lot. After dinner, I'm actually going to go to the Archbishop Cathedral, and I'm going to return to the hotel after that. Now, because Macedonia used to be part of the Ottoman Empire, and therefore the Ottoman is actually Turkish, therefore I'm actually going to try Turkish food. Over here is the baklava, and the other meal, the gozlem, would actually come out soon. And finally, here's the gozmel. After eating, here's my last stop of the day, which is actually the Archbishop Cathedral, St. Clement of Ohrid. So why not? I'm actually going to enter this cathedral, see it for a sec, and then I'm going to walk to my hotel. And from what I heard, there are a lot of ATMs nearby, so I can get some money to give to the hotel. And after several minutes looking for the entrance, because Google Maps did lead me to the incorrect area, I finally found the entrance over here. This is actually the cathedral, and this is the largest Orthodox church in Macedonia. Basically, the architect is actually named Slavko Brezovsky, and it is in a modern style. Actually, construction actually started in 1972, and it was consecrated in 1990. Basically 1,150 years after the birth of Saint Clement of Ohrid. So hence the name here. So basically this is how big the Orthodox Church is. Definitely not as big as the Saint Sava or Sophia Hagia in Belgrade and Istanbul respectively, but it's still quite big. I'm now inside the cathedral now, and over here you can see some religious figures and stuff. Basically, unlike many Catholic cathedrals, it does include a lot of pictures of various religious figures. I'm sorry to have to be quiet, but as you can see, this guy, I do believe is Jesus of some sort, but I'm not sure. Basically, if you were to look, it is quite big in fact, and quite magnificent. And lastly, before I return to the hotel, this is actually St. Clement here. I'm now on my way to the hotel. I'm currently walking now, and over here is actually the museum of the city of Skopje, of which I'm actually going to visit tomorrow. Unfortunately, I could not visit today, but I don't have time, and plus this actually closed. So why not? I'm actually going to return to the hotel, but I have to stop this car first so I could walk. Basically, this is definitely Camaro, and I do believe this is actually an M5 of some sort. Basically, this is much more powerful than, of course, the regular 5 Series. This is actually an E60 M5. So basically, good morning guys. It is now 11:20. I'm actually going to leave the hotel. Basically, I'm going to check out, and I'm going to go to Sofia in Bulgaria. So I'm going to return to the EU. Luckily, any hotel after this hotel would not require cash. So I could basically go cash free, literally. Okay guys, I just checked out of the hotel, and I'm currently in Tavana Olympique. Here's the menu here, and as you can see, all the menu is actually in Macedonian. I could understand the Cyrillic alphabet, however, but I do not understand Macedonian, so I did rely on people's help. But in reality, I'm actually going to get burgers, kebab, as well as fries. After waiting a while, here is my meal. This is actually a beef patty here, basically part of the burger. This is actually fries. And as you can see, this is actually 3 kebabs. I actually bought for $4.30. That's correct. Basically, after eating, I decided to go to the museum of the city of Skopje, which is actually free, which is absolutely insane because in like Western Europe, like museums like this would cost at least 10 euros, but here it is absolutely free, which is absolutely insane. As you can see, this is actually a film, I do believe, of the 1963 earthquake over here. As you can see, there's actually a film, and I do believe this shows the description of the earthquake. 1,066 people were actually killed in the earthquake, which is a lot. And many of you guys might not know this earthquake because even I don't even know until like I visit this museum, essentially. But as you can see, here's some information about the earthquake, and this is actually the model of the old train station in Skopje around the time of the earthquake, basically a bit after. But as you can see, this is what the city would look like during the 60s, and this is how many people actually died during the earthquake. And this is what the war would look like in 1963. As you can see, the Cold War is still raging really hard. Skopje is essentially part of Yugoslavia, and Germany is still very much divided. Kennedy is still essentially president, and basically the Vietnam War was just about to be started. Well, it actually started in 1954, but in reality, the US were not directly involved until 10 years after the Vietnam War actually started. Basically, due to the Skopje earthquake in 1963, the mobile kitchen was actually brought. Basically, I'm now in one of the museum's exhibitions. Well, in 1392, the Macedonians were actually conquered by the Ottoman Empire. And basically, during Ottoman rule, Macedonia was divided into 3 administrative units known as Sanjaks. Basically, Thessaloniki, which is actually in Greece, Ohrid, as well as Skopje, which is over here. And this is what Macedonia looked like during the Ottoman Empire. Basically, you used to have Christian Orthodoxy. And here's some of the clothing people wore during the time, as you can see. Basically, if you were to go to 1912, 1913, the Balkans War, basically that's when Macedonia gained independence from the Ottoman Empire, and a lot of Muslims did flee the country. There was a mass immigration of Muslims, but over here are some of the artifacts during the Balkans War. And basically here is the history of the old railway station. Well, during World War II in 1939 to 1940, a new railway station was actually built. But because of the 1963 earthquake, the railway station was heavily damaged, and therefore this museum, the City Museum Skopje, was actually built on the site of the old railway station. And over here is the clock of the first railway station before World War II. And this is one of the few surviving buildings of the 1963 earthquake, basically Le Palais de Justice over here. And this is what identity documents look like during World War II. Basically, there was also a Macedonian struggle for independence even during World War II, as well as during the Yugoslav Republic, basically the Socialist Federal Republic of Yugoslavia. And over here is what things look like during Yugoslavian times. And in 1991, with an overwhelming vote, basically referendum, Macedonia did gain independence from Yugoslavia without enduring any violence, despite the fact it is the least developed state of all the Yugoslavs, even less so than Bosnia, even though Bosnia did suffer from a bloody war which actually killed thousands upon thousands of Bosniaks. Over here are some Macedonian artifacts, as you can see, as well as different types of artworks based in Macedonia, from all the way from the Middle Ages to basically modern times. But it mostly focuses on the Middle Ages here. Basically, as you can see, 14th century, 11th century, 12th century, 13th century, basically Middle Ages. And here are some of the buildings which were either destroyed or suffered massive damage during the earthquake. Basically an extensive list, including the stone bridge, which did suffer some damage from the earthquake, and some of the buildings in here were actually destroyed. Now down in the basement level, you would actually see the archaeology in Skopje, basically all the way from the Neolithic age to the Bronze Age to the Greek as well as the Roman Empire period and Iron Age. As you can see, here are some early artifacts. Basically many of these did come from thousands of years ago, but these seem to be Roman like artifacts and stuff. And here's some more. Basically you just see an array of vases and pottery and stuff. And if you were to go here, you would actually see stuff from the Roman Empire. And these are actually pottery from the Iron Age, which is even before the ancient Greeks. And essentially these actually came from the Neolithic era, which is actually like basically beginning of civilization. And same with these, which also come from the Neolithic. And lastly, at this museum, here is the Middle Ages, basically a really small section, but you can't really go up here. Basically, this is one of the Orthodox churches or something. Actually, it is the Panteleimon church in Skopje, basically just a few miles away. I did not go because it is a 2-hour walk essentially, and also there's no public transit which could actually take me to this monastery. So why not, I'm actually going to go out of the museum. I just left the city museum and I cannot even believe how affordable it is. It is actually free, but as you can see, this is what the old railway station looked like. And now why not, I'm actually going to go to the new railway station, basically at the new location. I cannot believe how it is so affordable. Basically, I did not really pay much for any museums. I really only paid like 2 euros or something, or 5 euros. But you could actually use the student ID even after graduation. Basically, I do believe 5 years after graduation, because I already graduated, but I could still use my student ID at university. So basically, I did save some money. But in reality, like basically less than $5 for every single museum, which is absolutely insane. Because there's a lot of free attractions, and also the food here is absolutely affordable. So I do recommend you guys visit Skopje, even if it's out of the way, because it's not really near many like EU places. But in reality, Skopje is still quite close to Greece as well as Bulgaria and stuff. So you could actually visit Skopje, but in reality it's still outside the EU. But I do believe it is quite a steal. Even the hotels are steal. In fact, I only paid like $30 a night. Basically, even after the ATM exchange. Before the ATM exchange, it would have been 25 a night. Basically, after about 25 minutes walking, I finally arrived at the bus station over here. Basically, this also acts as a train station, and I do believe it is actually a lot more advanced than the one in Mostar. Basically, the train station in Mostar barely has any technology, but as you can see, the timetables are actually broken, and here are actually like the ticket counters and stuff, which do accept card and stuff, which is quite lucky. But over here is actually casino, so why not, I'm actually gonna see you guys on the bus. Basically, after a while at the bus station, I'm actually on a van rather than a bus. I'm kind of confused, but it is quite cramped here. Basically, I do have to put my backpack with me because all the seats are full, and the luggage compartment is basically useless. It couldn't really fit anything. So basically, I'm gonna ride a bus for 5 hours. I'm gonna see you guys soon. Thank you for watching. Please give a big thumbs up, subscribe for more videos, and thank you for watching.